Welcome to Cyber Blueprint, the podcast powered by AMSi Networks, where we decode the future of cybersecurity one conversation at a time. From AI-driven threats to real-world breaches, we explore what's shaping today's digital battlefield and how businesses can stay one step ahead. This is more than tech talk. This is your blueprint for cyber resilience.
This is our first podcast. This is Cyber Blueprint. Welcome for everybody watching. And today we have our absolutely two amazing guests. We have Mr. Grimes as well as Mr. Silva. And Mr. Grimes, why don't you give us a brief introduction of what you've done and who you are? And yeah.
Okay, I'm Roger Grimes. I'm currently the data-driven defense evangelist of KnowBe4. We're the world's largest provider of simulated phishing and anti-phishing training, trying to help people not to be scammed, human risk management. I've been doing cybersecurity for 36 years. I've written 15 books and over 1,500 magazine articles. I've held a lot of roles in IT, from IT educator, PC repair person, network manager, VP of IT, penetration tester. I've a programmer. I've done a lot in the 36 years, but I've mostly since 1987 really strongly focused on fighting hackers and malware and whatever that meant, whatever it means today. I've been fighting hackers for a long, long time.
So you've done pretty much everything, everything there is to do.
Not everything, but I have done a lot. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, Mr. Silva, why don't you go ahead and give us a brief introduction?
Yeah, I'm a cybersecurity professional that I started long ago, almost 30 years. Yeah, a little bit less than Roger. And yeah, I passed by pretty much all the stations as well. Pen testing, firewalls, routing with novel network. Yeah, all the good stuff. Yeah, I spent 20 years on the AMSi Networks in Brazil. I passed by multiple roles, and I ended up as a cybersecurity consultant for a very long time. 10 years ago, I moved to North America, and took just a year to realize the challenges were the same. Yeah, and it's good to add that AMSi Networks in Brazil is a KnowBe4 partner. What's amazing.
That's perfect. Sounds very good. So I'd like to jump right into it, and there's no better way to start a podcast than to talk about the biggest topic out there, which is, you guys can probably guess, it's AI. And Roger, I would like to ask you, what is AI? First of all, let's start with let's give people what they want. Like, what is AI?
Yeah, and let me say, I'll start by saying what it isn't, because it is it can be quite energizing, exciting, especially when we're interfacing with LLMs, large language models, or whatever. Like, I've heard people say it's human and it thinks and it feels. And did you know this technician threatened to close down the AI, and it felt threatened, and it said it was going to reveal the guy's affair. And I'm like, AI doesn't. It's not human. It's just software.
It's software.
It doesn't think. It doesn't feel fear and feel the need to threaten someone. But I was trying to figure out what AI was. Like, what is the commonality? Yeah, and what I came up with, this is what makes AI and everything else not AI. It's AI is general purpose probabilistic pattern matching. And what I mean by that is that you input, in every AI model, they call it consuming a whole bunch of data. And then out of that data, it is finding patterns to give answers to particular queries. And let me say that I don't want to minimize that. It's done some really remarkable, fantastic things already. Not only the chat LLMs that do seem human, it's done protein folding where it's found how to, that's going to lead us to help us to get solve a lot of diseases, and it's going to be doing some remarkable things. But it isn't human. It's software that does what it's told. General purpose probabilistic pattern matching. But that will solve a lot of the problems that our puny brains can't do alone. So it's got, great tool.
Yeah, it's just because I actually attended Inventures 2025, and the biggest topic was AI. Most people were scared of it, right? because they don't really understand what it is and what it can do. And most people are just like, hey man, like I'm scared to use it because what if it uses against me in the next couple months, right? And I'm like, I'm not too sure if that's it can
Well,
happen,
let
but
me say, last year I used to say, explain the AI,
hmm
and Andre, I apologize for keep on talking, but I would
Oh,
tell people I love AI,
hmm
and I would, you tell them about the threats that are coming, and people would be scared, and I'd say, but listen, how you're likely to be attacked this year does
hmm
not involve AI.
hmm
That's what I said last year.
hmm
This year, I'm like, how you're likely to be attacked, there's a good chance it involves AI.
yeah,
And then next year, it's going to significantly ramp
significantly.
up. So,
hmm
I went from being, hey, don't worry about it, to it's going to be a lot in the next couple of years. It's really starting about now, end of this year. By next year, it is going to be fully
And fully
attacking
on.
people.
Makes sense. And Andre, I also have a question for you since you specialize in cyber risks. Do you think that how are hackers weaponizing AI to start breaches, companies, even like personal, information from your normal citizen like me? How is AI a threat?
uh, AI is difficult to explain this type of things because it's related to a lot of things.
hmm
AI is a tool,
hmm
and a tool can use for good and bad purposes. And we use a tool to write articles, to answer questions, and this is really nice.
hmm
But in the same way, hackers can use the tool to optimize their intelligence. Yeah. When you talk about hacking, it's not a hacking asking the tool, oh, go there and steal
Do it for me.
this information.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah, we have two types of attacks. There is a direct attack when you have a target,
hmm
and you have generic attacks. When a hacker creates an email, it's sent for everybody. Yeah, but for a hacking campaign, there are seven phases for an attack. Yeah,
hmm
but the first phase is reconnaissance.
hmm
When the hacker goes and get information about the target.
hmm
And using AI with deep research, that boosts a lot the ability of the hacker to put together information about the target.
hmm
And the second phase, it's called weaponization. The hacker creates a weapon with the information. He knows the target, he knows the weakness, he knows all the information, and realize, oh, the best way of attacking that company is this
hmm
way. And they use AI to help them to
hmm
develop better weapons, better fake
hmm
profiles, fraud profiles, in order to achieve the purpose.
hmm
It's really not AI attacking you.
hmm
AI is,
It's
and
just
nowadays we have pretty much all the information about the target on the internet.
on
If
the
you're
internet.
personal, you can go to social media and get everything. If a
hmm
company, we have LinkedIn, we have ZoomInfo, we have a lot of companies that publishes all the relationships between company. And nowadays, to build a fraud profile is really easy.
It's really easy. So it just pretty much acts as a tool to elevate the hacker's education about the target, right? Just
Oh, it's all about it's like an upgrade. Yeah,
hmm
you can think about hackers, you can divide in three groups.
hmm
The starters, the intermediaries, and the really smart
the
guys.
really smart ones. Yeah.
Yeah, what's happened is the starters, the script
hmm
kiddies, the guys that go to internet and get a script that does an attack but have no idea and try to tweak it, they got an upgrade with AI. Now it put
hmm
AI, he had very good code.
Just makes it
And
easier for him.
yeah, but the intermediary guys, they become really dangerous now.
hmm
And the really dangerous guy, now they
Oh.
have full
Oh.
abilities on
Yeah.
do pretty much everything. Sometimes the guy was really good on coding, but not so good on HTML to
hmm
craft convincing emails. Yet just need ask AI and have
hmm
really
Pretty
good
much
stuff
ready.
done pretty much immediately. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, that makes sense. So it pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah,
helps the.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. I was
go
gonna
ahead,
say,
Mr. Gray.
yeah, I certainly agree with Andre said, and it's gonna increase the quality and speed of what hackers do, like the reconnaissance phase for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to allow them to create very specific, they call it hyper personalized
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
social engineering attacks. It's also going to allow them to do faster searching for software and firmware exploits and vulnerabilities. Like we're already seeing that what they call hack bots or hacker bots are already starting to discover the largest number of vulnerabilities in the different community hacking contests. You know, the Hacker1 and bug crowd bug strike or whatever. The hacker bots are now being used by traditional penetration testers and stuff to find vulnerabilities to exploit, and they're just starting to ramp up and really find a vast number of vulnerabilities. It used to be just humans, right? And maybe what's called a vulnerability scanning tool or a fuzz testing tool. But these bots are now accelerating finding the number of vulnerabilities. And let me say, we had over 40,000 vulnerabilities, separate publicly announced vulnerabilities found last year. That's like 109 a day. It's probably going to be much greater this year as AI goes off. But the other big threat and again, AI is going to do everything a hacker can do, give them the tools, like Andre said, to do it better and faster and more personalized. And certainly the biggest threat, I think, and everybody already knows, is these deep fakes. Right, where not like Andre talked about, not only crafting really good emails, but they can actually allow the hacker to respond to a victim. A lot of times the victims will go, "What do you mean pay this invoice?" and blah blah blah, and oftentimes the hacker's not in the native language of the victim, and so that hacker scammer wouldn't know how to respond. But these AI chatbots are going to allow them to be able to respond more realistically. And in perfect language. But not only that, even just speaking we're already starting to see a lot of voicemail attacks and the big and deep fakes, right? Anybody in the world can, if you got a picture of somebody, I got a picture of you, 6 seconds of audio, I can make a deep fake audio video attack of you saying and doing anything. And anybody can. There's hundreds and hundreds of tools that allow these deep fake attacks. So and you've been able to do that for a year or two or three, and the tools are just getting better. What just changed, the two or three things that just changed recently that scare me, is the ability to converse in real time. And let me say right now, the AI, when it responds, has a second or two hesitation. That is going to decrease very quickly over time to where there's no decrease. Number two, it allows, I've already seen many hackers do this already, but you can literally change your persona. So I can become Tom Cruise or Nicolas Cage or Britney Spears with a click of the mouse. As fast as you can click, you can become this other persona, look like them, sound like them. And then the latest one I've seen is, again, it's just real time, and the AI is responding alone. So it used to be that I'd have to be a human. I'm like, okay, now I want to be Taylor Swift, right? And so whatever it would mimic, whatever I'm saying and doing. Where AI's just gone recently is these full AI enabled bots that are completely handling the conversation with a human. The human, in a lot of cases, doesn't know they're dealing with it. And we're even seeing that the AI chatbot is up to 24% more successful in social engineering than if a human is doing the social engineering. About 2 years ago, we started to have these contests of AI versus humans, and we participated in a lot of them. Well, 2 years ago, the human was still winning pretty handily. Then last year, the AI came so close to beating the humans that when the contest results were announced to a live audience, that the human had still won, the crowd was shocked because they just watched the AI able to pull 19 pieces of information from a human being that didn't know that they were talking to an AI bot. The human only won because it got 20, but the AI chatbot was so realistic and so successful that the crowd was shocked that the human won. And they actually gave a standing ovation to the AI chatbot team. Well, this year, the AI chatbot is handily winning. It's beating the humans every time. And And that just means the bad guys aren't going to be involved in social engineering. They're going to let these chat
They
bots
just
do it.
let them do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, why
because
would I do the work if something is doing
yeah,
it better than me?
and can automate it. Yeah, what they don't want to be less successful in scamming you. So those things. I guess that so you've got AI enabled deep fakes. But again, what's changed is I can make an AI deep fake of anybody saying and doing anything that I say, and I can now even completely remove myself and just let the
And
chatbot
just let the
handle.
chat
You
bot.
know, you give it a long 2-page prompt. This is what I want to do. This is a scam. Blah blah
You
blah
give them
blah.
the script and
Yeah,
everything, and
and
it'll
then
just.
the chatbot goes. And let me say, I've seen many demos, and typically from the time that we start to see the AI demos from the good guys, takes the bad guys about 6 months to a year to start using it. So I suspect by the end of this year, beginning of next year, we're going to start to see these real-time AI-enabled deepfake bots interfering, interfacing with human beings and stealing their money.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I agree 100%. Yeah, just put in simple terms for people watching our podcast. There was an institute doing like a competition, and they used to put AI web bot, and the goal was making a person to detect it was an AI talking. It used it to be 10 seconds a human could detect that a person was, the other side was a machine. And that time was 10 seconds. It started to increase. And nowadays, most of these people cannot distinguish if it's a machine or a human. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely kind of scary for for your normal civilian, because they never know if they're talking to, their boss, or they're never educated enough to be
Yeah,
able to tell.
this is what I tell people. Two things. One is we used to tell people be careful of scam emails. Then we had to tell you be careful of scam SMS messages. And then we had to say be careful of scam voicemail messages or whatever. Now we have to add any digital
Any
audio or
digital
video
video
could be fake, right? So
could
you
be
just have
fake.
to have this. You have to educate people to have a healthy level of skepticism, and I think you really have to tell them what you're saying because it's much more sophisticated than they think, right?
Yeah.
It's your boss calling you to do something. Here's the second thing I tell people. Anytime you get an unexpected message asking you to do something you've never done
You've never
before,
done before.
that's a high risk event because the scammer still has to scam you, whether they're using AI or not.
They
They
still
still
have to
have to.
make you do something that you've
Yeah,
probably never done before.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
asking you to go around company controls or to go get gift cards or, pay this bill. They still have to scam you. So if I try to tell people anytime anyone, and in this case, it could be your boss, your spouse, your loved one, you know, telling you to do something kind of strange, you need to if it's unexpected, asking you to do something you've never done before, you need to research it. Certainly, on a professional level, before you do it, because it's they still got to scam you. And if you can teach yourself to slow down on anything brand new someone's asking you to do, that can help you.
Okay.
Yeah, recently I was, not recently, a couple of years ago, I was working at a company, it was an investment fund in South America, when a customer called them and gave all the credentials. He asked them, "Oh, I want to withdraw 500,000 and put on my account, my new account in Mexico." And immediately the operator did the transfer. And minutes later, the same person called again and said, "Oh, now I want to do 1 million, but for a new account in Mexico." And the person, "Oops, no, just a minute, we just withdraw 500. Now we're going to build a process around that." And the person went to verify, and the customer never called the company. The first 500 was gone.
Completely
And it
gone.
was able to save 1 million more because it's almost going. Yeah, it's so, but I'm not talking about AI. Yeah, I'm a very practical person. Scams happen every day, and you have to build mechanisms to avoid them. Yeah, if you go normally, everybody falls. Not
Everybody's
only
gonna
that
fall.
operator, but we can fall easily for not having in our brain a mechanism to double verify everything.
Even myself, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I got a call from I think it was Canada Post, and I do order a lot of stuff online because I love online shopping. It's like my hobby, right? And I got a call from them, and I'm like, and the thing that they said was, we have a package for you, and what's your name? And I'm like, I'm sorry, okay, my name is Davi. How do you have a package with my name on it and you're asking for my name? So the first question I get, I'm like, all right, this doesn't sound too good, right? But I'm gonna keep going with it, see where they take me, right? And they're like, yeah, now we just need your address. And I'm like, okay, my address. If you have a package that's about to be delivered to me with my name on it, what's the reason for my address, you know? And then I just hung up. But yeah, I think even with AI, people are still trying to scam regardless of being, yeah.
This is the problem. People is still falling from
Mm-hmm.
very basic scams.
Basic
Yeah.
scams, yeah.
Yeah, from with AI, yeah, I cannot predict
It's
what
almost
happen.
impossible not to be a victim to it, right?
No, 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 no. I won't say that. I think
It's not the way.
yeah, I don't buy that. If you're
Mhm,
educated, that
mhm,
it exists, right? That's what some people are like. Oh my God, the AI is just over. No, no, we're gonna respond. We're gonna respond to it. Let me say probably as badly as we responded to
uh-huh.
existing scams, which is not so good. But I think we can teach people to be aware that if your boss
Mhm,
or a customer is calling you to ask to do something,
mhm,
just like Andre said, not only educate people, but
mhm,
put policies and procedures in place, to require somebody to verify that request before they perform it.
mhm,
Even on a personal level, I think, we're probably going to see a lot of fake kidnappings. Your kids
mhm. Oh
kidnapped,
yeah.
your grandkids kidnapped, and maybe, a great suggestion many people say is like a safe word.
Mhm.
So if someone calls, like they're like, I'm your son's been, this is a common scam in the U.S.
Oh yeah.
They'll call the grandparents and
Mhm,
say late at night, your grandson, I'm the lawyer for your grandson. He's been involved in an accident that's killed somebody, and I need $5,000 to be for a retainer and blah blah blah. And if you've created a safe word, you could say,
mhm.
okay, but tell my grandson to tell me the safe word. And they're like, you don't have
Uh-huh.
time. They're going to intimidate you. They're going to be mean to you.
Yeah, no, I was.
But or the kidnapping.
Mhm,
Let me say, uh, there for since the entirety of humanity, there's been fake kidnappings, and
mhm,
there were fake kidnappings before the
Definitely.
internet, and then the internet allowed more fake kidnappings. When I was 20, 30 years ago, someone called my wife and claimed that I was kidnapped, and when she didn't want to pay, they had me screaming in the background, and she said it sounded like me.
mhm,
I don't, and let me say, to this day, and we called the police. I don't know
mhm.
how they knew I was out of my house for that period of time, or it could have just been a
It could
coincidence.
have just
But
been, yeah.
but we do see a lot of people claiming that their loved one, their daughter's been kidnapped and they're being tortured, and you need to pay money. And the mothers, I've talked to a couple of mothers, and they said the person screaming was my daughter. And this is that some of them claim AI was involved. We don't know yet.
We don't know.
We have never confirmed that AI,
Mhm,
a deep fake AI was used yet. What I will say is that these parents felt that it really was their child. And like, suppose you even have a safe word. Can you imagine? You're
mhm.
like, okay, before I pay you this, you got that my daughter's got to tell me the safe word. And if they're saying I'm raping and killing your kid,
You're not gonna care about that safe word.
maybe not, but
Yeah.
maybe, again, at least have the possibility that you
Mhm,
can say,
possibility
okay,
to.
before I'm sending you $5,000 or
I need
$10,000,
to
my child needs to tell me this word.
safe word.
And let me say, I did the
Yeah.
same. I did with my children growing up. I told I had three daughters and a son. I'd say, if anyone goes to pick you up at school, or blah blah blah, and says they're
Mhm,
picking you up for us, they need to know the code word. And when I made up this code word,
uh-huh,
and it became a joke in my family over the years.
mhm.
But now what's interesting is my kids that joked me about it now teach it to their
Now
kids.
they're cheating. Yeah.
And I think in AI world, because you can't
Mhm,
trust these, who people are over the
mhm.
phone, that more people should have some sort of, or at least maybe ask a
Definitely.
question that only your kid would know,
Uh-huh.
because the times are changing, and so we need to
Yeah.
come up with a sort of different defense for these sort of threats.
Oh, that is absolutely perfect. Yeah, safe word. Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. Just being able to educate people around that, it's what we're here to do, right? So, actually, the third question would be, do you guys know, like, if the technology we have today is good against AI for companies? Is there anything that will prevent or at least minimize AI threats or anything
let me
around
just
that?
say, so I'm sure you need AI to beat AI,
Uh-huh.
but let me say AI detectors so far have not been super accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So and it gets harder because everything we're doing is going to be AI enabled. This call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Teams, Zoom, any posting you do on social media is probably going to be AI improved, enhanced, right? As Andre said, it's a tool.
It's a tool.
And so asking somebody, is that have AI involved, is probably the wrong question. It's all going to be AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's really looking again at what's this person asking me to do? What's the emotional message? What are they trying to motivate me to do? And I will say, I believe, and Andre, I don't know if you agree with this, but I really do think that we're going to need AI to fight AI. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's just where we are today.
Yeah, AI is just happening now. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when the mobile phones arrived in my home country. The first thing that when you're doing a call, the first thing that you used to say, "Oh, I'm calling you from a mobile phone."
I'm walking around and I can call you. That's the first thing.
Yeah, I'm okay. One, it was the rates were really high, and people, yeah, you need to know, we need to be quick on this stuff because I'm paying a lot. And yeah, no, it's a mobile. Yeah, 10 years ago, you used to put on your business card your mobile and your phone. And nowadays, you have a number, and you don't know if it's a mobile or a phone. What I mean to say is, everybody's talking about AI nowadays, but in 2 or 3 years, AI will
It'll
be
be
embedded in everything. You'll be just, yeah,
You won't even
forget, oh,
notice. It will
it's
just
not
be
a
there.
mobile. Oh, well, call your my mobile. You just call on a number.
Yeah.
You're not concerned about that anymore. Yeah, you have your AI on your oven, on your fridge, on your phone, in your car. Everybody will be AI. But yeah, again, there are people who are going to use it for the bad, and people who use it for attack, and people who use it for defense. It's not about, yeah, it's people, process, and technology. Yeah, it's still the same. It's nothing changed. And I agree 100% with how to say, yeah, there's a new technology. There is a time for the hackers understand and start using. But the problem is the hackers do that in 1 year and from 6 months to a year. And the company to adapt a technology against that problem take 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. Man, that's the struggle. It's not the technology.
It's the ignorance.
Actually, and a lot of it's just companies are built to be slower, and they got to experience some pain a lot of times before they spend the money. And you can get in trouble. Like if you're a defender, you're like, you need to defend against this. And if it never happens, let's say quantum or something, people are like, you wasted my money. Yeah, I'm going to fire you. Nobody gets in trouble for waiting for the pain to happen and then responding. So it does create this built-in delay loop. But I will say, as Andre said, 10 years. I do say that every time we have to respond to a problem, I would say it takes at least 3 years. And Andre's right, probably industry-wide 10 years to get to everybody. It does take a lot of years. And I think kind of like what Andre's kind of intimating, we don't really have as much time this time around. Yeah.
Which
we
makes
do.
complete sense.
Yeah, because you're going to have all these fake people that are pretending to be your boss and your spouse and your friends and the IRS or whatever. And we do. I think there is certainly we have to accelerate how we respond.
Oh yes, I used to call the window of the opportunity. Every time you give the window opportunity, your task as a defender, it make it shorter. But yeah, all this loop. I love this expression, the loop of, you just said, the loop of bureaucracy. No, I forgot.
It takes a while to respond. Yeah, the responsive loop
to respond. Make the window of the opportunity huge.
Oh yeah.
For the hackers.
It gives them more time to be even better and to attack companies. Yeah, makes sense. Which actually leads us to our next topic. And this question goes off to Roger because he's actually the one that shed light and educated me a little bit into the fact. I know it's a very hard subject, but you made it super easy for me to understand that, in which I absolutely love the topic, which is quantum computing.
Yeah, I've written a book on it. And
Yeah.
if the viewers don't know, probably the next few years, we're going to start seeing cryptographically sufficient quantum computers. Quantum computers are a new type of computer that use quantum mechanics. And if you don't know quantum mechanics, you can go read about it and get your head hurt. It took me 20 years to understand it pretty well. But we're getting ready to get these quantum computers that are going to be sufficiently capable of cracking a lot of today's cryptography, both asymmetric and symmetric cryptography, although it's mostly the biggest fear is around asymmetric. So asymmetric cryptography is most of the cryptography that we use today. It's on the web. It's called different names are like RSA, Diffie-Hellman, ElGamal, elliptic curve cryptography, that sort of stuff. That is what when you go on the internet and you're using TLS and HTTPS, it's using probably RSA, Diffie-Hellman. It's what we use with our banks. Like 90%, it's our Wi-Fi, our logins. 95%, 95% of our world uses these what's called asymmetric public-private key cryptography. And when we get sufficiently capable quantum computers, they will be able to crack this asymmetric traditional asymmetric cryptography. And everybody in the world, every piece of hardware and software needs to be migrated to quantum resistant cryptography before that break happens. They call it the quantum crypto break is called Q-Day or
Q-Day.
Yeah, or QY2K or something like that. I've seen it called, but Q-Day is probably the most common one.
Yeah.
And the U.S. government, NIST, has said, well, we need every company to be prepared by 2030, which I think when they said that, it killed anybody being prepared because everybody's like worried about ransomware and password stealing Trojans and AI. They don't have time to you're going to tell me, you're telling me I got to be prepared for something that's 5 years. And actually, when they announced it was 9 years away, now it's 5 years away. So I think most companies, when I give talks on the quantum Q-Day all the time, and when I ask people to raise their hand, who here has got a what's called post-quantum cryptography project? Who here has a official post-quantum cryptography project in their company? Out of 100 hands, maybe 4 will come up, and I'll go.
I remember. Yeah. I was watching the presentation that you actually did, and you actually asked that question. I remember maybe one person put their hand up. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think it was one person. Yeah.
And then I'll say, who here is actually, out of the 4, which one of y'all has your company actually dedicated a project leader, project money and resources to actually do this? And usually the rest of the hands go down.
They all go down.
Yeah, so they're not really doing it. And so the U.S. government says you're supposed to be prepared by 2030. Most companies don't even know it's a problem. And recently we've had announcements from Google, IBM, and some other companies. IonQ is another one that have indicated strongly it looks like we're going to beat the 2030 date for Q-Day. And if that so like IonQ, they're a publicly traded company in America. I'm an investor. And the stock's doing quite well, but they just announced that they're going to have like 10,000 or 1 million qubits by 2027.
Oh, so that's within the next 2 years. Yeah.
If any company gets that sort of number of stable qubits, 10,000 to 1 million, if any company gets that, that's Q-Day. And I doubt they're making that public announcement lightly, right? It's a publicly traded company. If you were to share news that was not truly relevant, you could be charged with fraud. And so they probably have strong data to show that they're going to meet that sort of delivery. And I was like, if that happens, that's Q-Day, and it's going to hit 2 years from now, and no one, even the people that care about this, are not prepared yet. So think about this. Every piece of software and firmware in your environment needs to be updated or replaced. That's used to protect critical data. it's going to be a huge endeavor that will take most company years to do. And most companies are not even aware that it's coming. If you're, Davi, if you were to go to most people, go, are you preparing for Q Day? They'd go, what?
I would have been, what are you talking about? Even people in technology actually have no idea about any of these topics, because I actually went to a technology kind of event last week, and I just kind of poked around people, just to get a feel of like if they had any knowledge or being educated about quantum or post-quantum, and they honestly they couldn't say a word about it. They had no idea of what it is.
You ready for the funniest part? So I belong to multiple quantum Q-Day preparation, the World Economic Forum, the Cloud Security Alliance, Quantum Safe Computing Group. I belong to all these groups that are very much about this. And we have been really tackling this for 10 years, right? Like this is a big deal.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. All the scientists in there think that all companies are significantly preparing for this.
Oh, absolutely.
All my coworkers in those groups think that everybody's doing everything. They understand the risk and everybody's doing. And when I tell them almost no one is preparing, they're shocked.
Yeah.
They're all in this bubble. They're like, wait a minute, the U.S. government said it'd be prepared by 2030. It's going to take the average company years. Certainly, they're doing stuff. I'm like, no, they don't even know. Maybe they've heard the word quantum. When you mention quantum, they think of Quantum Leap, the U.S. television show where the guy, the superhero jumped, between years.
Yeah.
But I think there is going to be this rush of a lot of people not being prepared in time, and we're going to find out what does it mean when all of a sudden anybody could start reading your secrets, right?
Yeah.
That could have a drastic impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary because this is coming way sooner than we actually thought, and people just have no idea that that's coming. And the question I have is, I think we kind of touched about a little bit about it, but it's what are some ways that we can actually just, like, what would be the first step as a company to get around that?
Yeah, step number one, educate yourself, and then educate senior management and get senior management support. And again, the U.S. government's saying you have to do this.
You have to do it.
And let me say, the U.S. government's been saying you should do something now since 2016. So if you haven't got it going on, you're late. But go to senior management and listen, we're getting ready to do this massive project that may be one of the most expensive projects we've ever undertaken in our company's history. That we're going to have a project leader and project plan and project resources. That's step number one. Just educate senior management, get their buy-in. And then the second thing I would do is I would start what I call it a data protection inventory. But it is looking at all the systems that protect your data that you need to protect for the next couple of years, right? So critical data, the secrets you wouldn't want leaked. You need to look at the software and firmware and the network equipment and all that stuff that protects that data and start to do an inventory and ask it, what type of encryption does it use? And is it going to be possible to easily replace it with post-quantum cryptography? NIST has already announced the 4 or 5 algorithms that we can use, which are called like Crystal Kyber and Crystal's dilithium and HQC, and things like that. They've already said, here are the standards. And you need to find out, can I easily upgrade those things, or do I have to replace some things? And in a lot of cases, I think most companies are going to have a ton of software and hardware that they literally don't know. Like some guy programmed this, left the company, maybe died.
Nobody knows what happened to it.
And you're like, okay, are we going to have to replace it? Can we get someone to upgrade it, or we're going to have to isolate it so it's not sending data out on our network? I mean, so I call that the data protection inventory. I think every company needs to get senior management involved, and you need to today be doing a data protection inventory. It's probably going to take you a year.
Oh yeah. It's a long project.
If you're not doing this now, you are not going to be prepared for Q Day.
Roger, I agree 100% with what you're saying, but I'm a cyber specialist in companies, in medium companies, and companies with a range of 500 employees to 5,000. And I guess we are working with companies with headcount way way, way bigger than that, because the reality of the medium companies, you have no idea. People are talking about quantum computing, and they are still using VPNs with DNS encryption that can be broken with a calc. Yeah, you can do the math on the Windows calc. Yeah, if you go for an audit, a security audit on the medium companies, and I'm saying that medium companies are companies that sells on the internet and grocery chains when you buy stuff, and stores and lawyers and accounting companies. Yeah, man, they have a law. A law of the medium company is, if it's working, never touch it.
Don't touch it.
And never. And people do VPN 30 years ago. The VPN is working, but it's DES encryption, and we are not allowed to touch it. I haven't. It's not about. Once again, it's not about quantum. Was not about AI. It's how people understand the risk. They don't know what they don't know. And they are not educated to be prepared for anything. Then we can see, okay, quantum computing can break symmetrical, asymmetrical keys, but you can find people using Wi-Fi with WEP encryption that, you can break it with with a count. Yeah, you don't need even a computer to break that encryption. Yeah, people the worst part of the cybersecurity, it's people keeping neglecting things because things are working, and people just get scared when stuff breaks. That's a time, and when stuff breaks, you have to put working together as soon as possible. It's not planned. It just we rush it to put working again. That's the reality of the medium companies. If you can convey this message to your fellow friends from the quantum group, man, they're gonna have a heart attack.
Which actually, I actually really wanted to ask you about this. How do you guys educate, let's say, a CEO? I don't know, maybe he has no idea about cybersecurity as in general. How, like, what is the easiest way to educate him and just like make him know about, hey man, like these are real life like threatening risks that can happen to your company today, you know? And because in my I've talked to some people and they don't seem to really, care about the whole idea about cybersecurity. Like, so this is a personal question. Like, what is the easiest way to get to them if you guys,
Now, Andre, I'll let you start. That's kind of your
Oh,
bailiwick.
awesome. I love to talk about this stuff. This is my topic. Yeah, it's all about risk. Yeah. The executives, they will never understand about cybersecurity. They have a lot on their plate, man. It's financial, it's marketing, expansion, it's stocks. It's a lot. There's no room for cybersecurity. But you can ask any executive, any director, any manager about SWOT, and they understand. Oh, we have weakness, we have threats. They understand the risk. This risk is natural. Then the best way of approaching executives and say, oh, you have this risk, and this risk can stop your company. Your company makes this amount of money per hour, per second, per day, or per month. If you stop for a month, you are going to lose not only reputation, political, financially, you will lose millions. Your stocks are going towards
well,
zero.
and not only that, it could be an ongoing concern problem, right? Some small businesses get hit by ransomware, never recover, right? That ends up being the straw that breaks the camel's back, that they end up closing. Yeah, and let me, everything Andre said was so true. I was talking to a small business security consultant this weekend, and he was telling me that he was like, okay, this is why, he was making the argument, this is why you need to do cybersecurity. And the owner said, I cannot pay you wait till I get hit by ransomware. We'll do everything on paper. And then I'll have to pay all these people to rebuild my servers and rebuild my network, and it will be cheaper than paying you, right? But the problem is, it does create, when you're down, it does create revenue problems. It does create, I don't care if you're going to paper, from digital paper, you're going to slow down, and there's going to be things you can't do. It's going to cause reputational issues, and it could be an ongoing concern. The smaller you are and the less resource you have, the more likely, less profit you have, you're more likely to go out of business. But you asked that question, how do we get people to care or do something? I will say this, I do think you have to make people personally in their own, we have this saying, it actually came from Perry Carpenter at Noble 4. He said it first, he's got it in a book. People may be aware and still not care. Meaning that they've heard this, they heard about that, but ransomware is somebody else's problem. But part of what we say is you have to make them personally care about it, whether it's through the business, like Andre talks about with business leaders. You've got to talk about risk. I love that Andre says is risk, because that's what, if you're new to cybersecurity, your entire job is nothing but risk management.
But risk management,
yes, all about that.
You're not getting rid of it. But I think sometimes to motivate people, you have to make them care about that threat on a personal level. And so CEOs, it's risk management, profit, that sort of stuff. I think the average worker, you have to make them think, oh, I could be attacked at home, and you do, and you educate them. You want to protect them and their finances and their family and their kids, and that education will show up in work. But somehow, if someone doesn't feel personally threatened by something, they just don't pay as much attention. So I think that would be, if I was to give one tactic, it would be make them somehow personally feel like, hey, this can protect you and your family, and this same skill, like making sure you're patched at home, your router and stuff. Well, we got a team here, but let us know if your device doesn't seem to be patched, right? Yeah, just because, hey, you're doing email and you go to your bank. If you're going to your bank during the day on your work device and that work device gets compromised, that means they're going to get your banking information. And so again, if make them care personally is a really good way to try to start to motivate people to change behavior.
This is actually really funny, because I was talking to Andre about 2 weeks ago, and he put in a perspective which was very funny to me, because he was like, what if someone just sent you a USB, a very nice USB with let's say a terabyte of storage, and it just showed up at your house? And I told him, man, I'd plug that in right away. I'm plugging that into my computer right away. Right? So I think it's just, you have to educate people around, those scenarios, because to this day, I think most people would do the same thing that I would do, and it just plug it into my computer and just see, click this real quick just to open the, So yeah. And ransomware, it leads us to ransomware. Now, Andre, I'll let you explain what ransomware, just to give us a brief explanation of what it is, because some people still need to be educated about like what is and how it happens. So I'll let you get started with that.
No, in simple terms, ransomware is when some hacker somehow encrypt all your data, and the data becomes useless to you, and they demand some money to give you the key that are going to decrypt. This means put back to your computer where it was before the attack. That's the basic, simple terms to try to explain this.
Yeah, although in 90% of cases these days, and it grows, probably 95% soon, the ransomware gang usually exfiltrates passwords and data before they do the encryption. They didn't start doing that till November 2019. I remember the first time it happened. It was November 2019. And that percentage has grown. Today, 40% of ransomware groups do not encrypt your data. They only steal your data and then say, give us the ransom, or we're going to share it with hackers, or use it against you, or give it to your competitors. But the big part of it is they exfiltrate your passwords, your employee passwords, your business passwords, your customer passwords. They could be exfiltrating sensitive emails, intellectual property, the data that they actually listen in on you, and they monitor your network and find out what's valuable to you and how does your company make its money, exfiltrate that data. And then again, then a lot of them will then encrypt, and they'll say, "Hey, not only have I encrypted you, but I've stolen your data. You need to pay up." And it's a big deal, right? That's the number one concern of most business leaders today. If they have a cybersecurity concern, that's their concern is ransomware.
Yeah, and that is the double encryption, double extortion.
Yeah.
I heard about triple extortion, that we have your data. If you don't pay us, we are put on a wall of shame. And I was hearing it long ago of quadruple extortion. But man, this never stopped.
It only grows.
Yeah, don't give your data away because the hackers are going to make money in multiple ways from your data. That's the and ransomware is really scary, but it's not the only problem. The problem is if you got ransomware, this means there was an unauthorized guy inside your network with domain admin. It can create passwords, it can read all the documents, it can create users, it can modify the payroll, it can associate bank accounts, it can do everything. Man, it's not good when you realize you got ransomware and the screen is black and just giving me my Bitcoins. It's really bad. It can be worse if the hacker starts working your company without you knowing that he is there. That it can be way more damaging than just pay a couple of Bitcoins.
The problem is how the hacker got in. And that is your primary concern. Because like I always tell people, this is how you know ransomware isn't your real problem. Is that if we were to able to get rid of ransomware, but you didn't stop how the attacker is getting into the environment or doing domain admin access, they could still steal and do a million other things. Your real problem isn't ransomware, it's how the attacker got in and got that access. Worrying about ransomware really is like worrying about your brakes after your car's been stolen.
Yeah.
And let me say, how do you defend against it is to figure out what are the ways that the hacker could break in. Number one way is social engineering. Number two way is unpatched software and firmware. Social engineering is involved in 70 to 90% of successful cyber attacks. Unpatched software and firmware is involved in about 33 to 40% of attacks. Stolen or guessed credentials are involved in another 20-30% of attacks. Although I tell people, how are those credentials stolen? Usually social engineering and unpatched software. Social engineering and unpatched software and firmware. So my advice to any company worried about any threat, existing threat, is to try to educate people and use, as Andre said, policy, processes, and tools to fight social engineering and to make sure that you're fully patched, both software and firmware. Those two things account for 90% of the risk in most organizations.
Also, one question that I have is there anything you can do after ransomware? Any tips, any ideas, or what should we change after ransomware?
I wrote a book.
I wrote
a book on ransomware called the Ransomware Playbook.
Perfect.
That talks about how you respond and you know, just very quickly, if you think of a ransomware event, you have to confirm that it really is ransomware and that's beyond one machine or something like that. And then the first thing is I have to stop the damage or the current damage or the damage from getting worse. So you have to quickly figure out what's going on and try to minimize further damage. That could be some companies like, oh, I'm cutting off the internet, so the attacker is not in there. It could be that you're only blocking off certain machines or certain networks. Some companies will go to their network hubs and turn off the networking hub or turn off networking temporarily till they figure out what's going on. So stop the damage. Then you have to assess what has happened. And then you have to decide, okay, how are we going to respond? What systems do we need to rebuild? What systems we're going to buy? What do we need to turn on first? Typically, you're going to need to get your network infrastructure back up. your networking equipment, your cybersecurity defenses, your IP, DHCP servers, your Active Directory servers, your DNS servers, the infrastructure that supports everything else, and then start bringing back on the mission critical applications in the right order. After everything's been cleaned up and recovered. So, first step, minimize further damage. Number two, assess what has happened. Number three, start to do the recovery, typically starting network first, infrastructure, supporting infrastructure, and then your applications. You don't have to buy my ransomware playbook. I just told you what it was.
You just broke it down. So, Andre, do you have anything to add to that, or is it?
No, this is perfect. Yeah,
Perfect.
in general, when I was a cybersecurity years ago, we usually never engage company after the accident because it's not really damage for the company, but for the consultant as well, because the damage is done. And if you don't have a good way if you don't have the tools to understand what happened, and get the lessons learned and fix the stuff and get back, it's a consulting job, it's useless. Unless they want to do it everything from the scratch again to get to the point that, but a lot of those companies that don't have a way of understanding things, what happened, they got infected again and again. This is really easy for the hackers. It's easy for a hacker to get back to the place they can get in easily than trying to find another place to get in.
Oh yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Also, so since you guys been in the field for over 20 years, so we see today a lot of CISOs, which became a big thing in the past 5 years in companies. And I'm pretty sure they don't have the education you guys have, so this will be more of a educational talk. Do you guys have any tips for new CISOs and what they should do coming into a company, or just getting around quantum or AI or ransomware or any of the threats? Just any educational tips. Andre, you want to start?
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, CISO is a really delicate position. Yeah. And we have basically two ways to achieve cybersecurity. That means minimize risk. One path is to go through risk. To do a risk analysis, a real risk analysis, and you try mitigating everything that you see that's over your threshold, things that you cannot tolerate. And then you start putting controls and process, but this is a long road. And the reward is really good. I have been working in companies that trail this path, and they are really happy. Companies that had never had a networking incident, I would say that. But the other way is through compliance. And in general, companies are forced by the stakeholders to trail the compliance to the framework. Or you have to certify on ISO 27001. You have to have SOC 1 and SOC 2. This trail is really complicated because can slow down you. I love those frameworks, but they don't evolve so quickly as the threats and the risks. And if you go by the compliance side, you can get delayed. And as I said before, everything's about the window of the opportunity. If you get delayed, the hacker can get in. You have to. Then the hacker needs the CISO position. The person needs to balance going through the frameworks, the compliance, or I'm going to mitigate the risks. They will have a huge pressure to go to the frameworks from the compliance, because the compliance you can post on your web page. If the customer will ask you for, oh, do you have ISO SOC 1, SOC 2, and you can proudly give your certificates and artifacts, all this stuff. But yeah, I saw in the past companies having compliance and not having real cybersecurity.
Yep, and let me follow on that. And everything Andre said was 100%. Andre's a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's impressive. I'll say, on top of all that, and he talked about you got to have real security. This is the 5 things I tell people. Like, before you do anything else, well, do everything Andre said. But then on a tactical level, I tell people, cybersecurity wise, you have to fight social engineering. It's 70 to 90% of the problem. The next most attacked thing is unpatched software and firmware. So you have to get good patch management on your machines and the software and the networking equipment. Number 3, you have to try to use multi-factor authentication, hopefully phishing resistant, to do logins. Where you can't use MFA, you need to use strong passwords, and the passwords should be different for every user and system. And then if you can teach your users how to spot rogue messages or rogue URLs or rogue SMS, or coming soon, rogue AI deepfakes, that is a really strong thing. Those are the 5 things I say to people. Try to mitigate social engineering the best you can, just like Andre said, using people and processes and tools. Try to do good patch management. Try to use strong passwords, separate strong passwords for every site and system per user. I like telling people to use a password manager. I think using a password manager is a great idea. Try to use phishing resistant MFA if you can, and then educate people about what a rogue URL looks like, or a rogue SMS message, or a rogue phone call like you got, Davi. Those are the 5 things I tell people to do, just to try to get rid of the most risk at once.
Oh, that's pretty much everything. Yeah. I think today we've hit most of the cybersecurity important topics, and hopefully this will be helpful to educate people that, need the education around the cybersecurity idea. And yeah, I think that's all the time we have for today. Grimes, I would like to ask you, do you have any announcements, any books that you're writing, anything that you want to let us know?
Yeah, 16th book I'm writing, should be out end of the year. It's called How AI and Quantum Impacts Cybersecurity Threats and Defenses.
That's perfect. I think that's exactly what we need today. So
yeah, I'll be first in line to buy it.
Hopefully I'll get it signed by you. Andre, do you have any announcements?
No, I'm pretty happy with this conversation. I love to talk with intelligent people and knowledgeable people about cybersecurity. And yeah, we could have this conversation for hours and hours. I'm pretty happy with this podcast.
I thought it was gonna be like more of a 30-minute kind of conversation, but I guess we extended it over an hour. So I think this is enough for today. Well, Mr. Grimes, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this and actually educating everyone that's going to be watching, and myself as well. And Andre, same thing with you. Thank you so much for being here.